disaster? Disaster definitions, I have given 2 definitions. You will find multiple definitions all over the place, but these are the most accepted definition, and these 2 definitions will be accepted as a part of your answer, because the first one is given by WHO, which says any occurrence. I have divided the definition into logical parts so that you understand and it will be easier to reproduce. So what is a disaster? It is any occurrence that causes damage, ecological disruption, loss of human life, deterioration of health and health services. Right? Damage, ecological disruption. What is ecological disruption? Ecological is everything that is around us is considered to be ecological realm. So any disruption in this ecological realm is called ecological disruption. Along with it, human life, and lastly, the health, deterioration of health and health services of that area. That becomes the occurrence which can lead to all these 4 on a scale. The scale is important. On a scale, here the scale means magnitude, right? So on a scale that is sufficient to warrant an extraordinary response, not something that is usually seen. So it becomes an extraordinary response from outside. This is very important, from outside. If the community can control or react to the occurrence by itself, that does not become a disaster. So they need help from outside. So the first is, it is an occurrence which leads to 4. Those are damage, ecological disruption, loss of human life, and the deterioration of health and health services. On a scale, the scale is such, the magnitude of the occurrence is such that it requires intervention from outside. So unless there is outside help, the community or the area affected cannot stand against that kind of an occurrence. The second definition is under the Disaster Management Act. As I told you, it came into effect in 2005. So it is a catastrophe, a mishap, calamity, or a grave occurrence. So WHO has just mentioned any occurrence. So they have categorically defined, because this is an act. An act is, definitions in act are very holistic and is they are meant to be such that they cover all aspects and also cover the gray areas, because an act is cited in the court and these are made by the parliament. So this becomes the most holistic definition of disaster from an Indian perspective. So a catastrophe, mishap or calamity or grave occurrence in an area arising from natural or man-made cause or by accident or negligence. So you see how many types have been mentioned. It can be natural or man-made, by accident or negligence, right? These are the types which gives rise to the event, and the event results in, as we had discussed previously, there will be loss of human life and suffering, damage and destruction of property, damage and degradation of environment, right? So there is humans, there is property, and there is environment. If these 3 things are affected in such a nature of or magnitude as to be beyond the coping capacity of the affected area. So in structure, these 2 definitions are very similar, but little more detail in case of the national disaster, in case of the Disaster Management Act 2005. So these 2 definitions, you can use any one of them, the essential crux being the same. But why I am stressing upon the definition, because this is easily asked in your Viva and most of you falter here. So try and understand the definition, it will be easier for you to reproduce. So these are the two definitions of disaster that will be provided in your presentation that will be shared, right? So I will also request you all to, make a note for yourself. We will be providing the note, but in the process of making this handwritten note by yourself, it will be easier for you to, be exam prepared in writing, being in the habit of writing long answers. Okay. So this is first the definition. Next come the types of disaster. So if you have seen in this definition, we have already been mentioned that it can be natural or man-made. So what is natural and what is man-made? It's basically self-explanatory, right? So any disaster which happens with no influence of mankind, that becomes your natural disaster. And in any disaster, if there is any kind of influence because of humans, that becomes your man-made disaster. So the question in usual comes as a short note of 5 marks individually that describe the types of disaster. All right. So what are the types of disaster? We are going to see the first type, which is natural disaster. The natural disasters can be classified into these 5 types. If you can see on your screen, is the screen visible? The table, you are seeing the table?
Yes, sir.
Right. So first becomes your geophysical disasters, which includes earthquake and volcano. As the name suggests, it's geological, it's physical. So tectonic shifts, which might lead to an earthquake and some opening on the surface, which lead to lava. The lava being coming out, which leads to a volcano. Can anyone name the only active volcano in India? It's Barren Island, Andaman. So usually in our country, we will face mostly earthquake, floods, cyclones, and drought. Right? These becomes the main important points. So geophysical being earthquake and volcano, hydrological being flood, avalanche, uh, coastal erosion, wave action. Even if you can add to this the cloud burst, there are 5 types of natural disaster: geophysical, everything related to land; hydrological, mostly due to uh, uh, water bodies, right? Meteorological, due to climate. Due to uh, climatic changes, which involves uh, the water cycle. Climatological, some changes in the climate, the environment and the climate. And lastly, biological. You have to, if you are precise in categorizing, the marks that you fetch is far more than others. So that is why I want you to categorize and remember, even if you forget names of a few disasters, but the examiner understands that you have an idea about categorizing and then looking at it from a broader perspective, right? So this is how I would prefer you answer in your exam. So we had the natural disasters. Right now we'll be switching to the human induced, or what we call them more colloquially, right? These are your man-made disasters. So we'll move into man-made disasters. Man-made disasters are usually accidents that they can be categorized into accidents, terrorist activities, and some chemical disasters, right? So vehicular disasters, recently, I guess yesterday or day before yesterday, there was a bus accident in Andhra. Usually these kinds of bus accidents where a lot of people die at a point of time, and there is reaction from the nearby authorities, and then the state disaster management team kicks in. These, and with a lot of fatalities, becomes a man-made disaster. If it is, let's say, a bridge that has fallen down, usually such cases are huge events. And to counter them, the cloud management, the public management, the media management, it's a frenzy. And that is the kind of disaster you should be expecting as a government officer anywhere if you are posted, right? River and sea drowning, boat capsize. Have you heard of any boat getting capsized in Sundarban region? What is boat capsize anywhere in the?
So the boat turns upside down.
Yeah. So a lot of people die because we do not have life jackets and everything. So that is usually a case. Collapse of buildings. Uh, would you call the plane that barged into the medical college hostel in Gujarat, would that be a disaster?
Yes, sir.
A man-made disaster?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
It did have a huge magnitude, and it shook the nation for quite a long period. So those are the usual examples. If you can remember all, it is best for you. If you cannot, at least if you remember the categories, you can put up some form of substance in your answer, right? So repeating again, vehicular accidents, river sea drowning, collapse of buildings, fires, mine flooding, oil spills. What is mine flooding? In any case, in the mineries, usually, we this is if this is the surface of the earth, the mines are located here. Let's say the coal mines, they are very neatly stacked, and people dig large bores, enter the mine. So at sometimes there are pockets of water, you know, stuck between the two layers of the soil. So at times when while digging into it, if such a pocket is open, the mines get flooded. It's a disastrous scenario, and not always the mining authorities have that capability of, uh, tackling such a situation. And in those cases, the national disaster management body kicks in. So that is mine flooding. Oil spills usually takes place on the coasts, and it requires a lot of effort from multiple uh, stakeholders in order to clear such an oil spill, right? Terrorist activities, I need not explain. Explosions, serial bomb blast, like in Mumbai. Chemical man-made disaster, toxic products from chemicals. Moving on to some toxic chemical products. Can you give me an example of a toxic chemical product being released and that causing a lot of... Yes.
Bhopal gas tragedy.
Yes, sir. Bhopal gas.
Bhopal gas tragedy. Few things in respect to that. What is the date? Because our examiners love asking this sort of question, which I am not a fan of, but still you need to know the date. So we'll just briefly discuss a little about Bhopal gas tragedy. It occurred in 1984, right? And what was the name of the company?
I only know the name of the gas, methyl isocyanate.
Excellent. The gas is methyl isocyanate. Yeah. And the name of the company
Union Carbide.
Union Carbide pesticide plant, right? Please make a note of it. Bhopal gas tragedy. This comes as your a viva note or a MCQ. Okay. I guess it was in 26th December. I'll have to just check and verify. It was 26th December was the date, most probably. So I have mentioned just because these comes as your MCQ, and do not falter, because these kind of questions make or break your rank. Sorry, it was 2nd December. It was 2nd December. All right. So Bhopal gas tragedy, 2nd December 84, Union Carbide pesticide plant, and the gas being methyl isocyanate. Isocyanate. Right? Radiological warfare or nuclear warfare, whatever it is, it becomes a important man-made natural disasters, right? So, are we on the same page till this point? Natural disasters, human-induced disasters, you categorize, then it becomes easier for you to remember. Fine. Shall we move ahead?